Who do you think will do the character design for the future Dragon Quest games now that Toriyama is dead? Good question. I have no clue, to be honest. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know if Toriyama managed to develop or to create a few characters for the game. Like I said before, it's a game that's been announced since last year, and they were probably working on it, so I don't think it's safe to say that they are on the final stages of it. I have no idea, but it's safe to say that it's at least in pre-production, you know, because the game was already announced. The game already has a subtitle, which is The Flames of Hope, I believe, something like that. Flame of Hope. And if they already have something like that, it's because they are in pre-production. It's safe to assume they are in pre-production of the game. I don't know if they're on production or post-production. I have no idea. Maybe the game was going to be announced in this year, maybe next year. Who knows when, man. We still have nothing on Dragon Quest III Remake. What's up with that? But this year, last year, Square Enix focused most of their attention on Final Fantasy XVI. This year it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but it was released at the beginning of March. So what are they gonna do for the next of the year, the remaining of the year? They also released a few spin-offs of Dragon Quest, precisely about Dragon Quest last year. So yeah, it's safe to assume we'll know something this year. I'm pretty confident we'll know something about it this year. As for the character design, hopefully Akira Toriyama managed to do something, like to create the main characters or something. We'll see what happens, and if he didn't, or if his work was incomplete, they're gonna have to do everything from scratch, and who knows what's gonna happen, man. All I know is that Dragon Quest XII, for a fact, is going to be very different. The developers themselves confirmed it. That was going to be a different game. So, I don't know, I think the future of Dragon Quest is extremely uncertain when it comes to main titles, and I'm not sure if I should be scared or excited. I guess I'm both at the same time. We'll see. I think a lot of people still don't own a PS5 because it's freaking expensive. That's the only reason. There's just no reason to invest on a PlayStation 5 and spend $400 to $500 on a console that doesn't really offer that much. Sure, it's starting to get more and more exclusives, the Final Fantasy games, Stellar Blade, for example, and it will continue to get more exclusives. Eventually, it's gonna force people to get it. Eventually, it's not gonna stop. It'll come to a point where people will have to buy a PlayStation 5 no matter what. And this same question in about a year, more or less, you know, will be like yes and no. Yes is gonna be really high and no is gonna be very low. Pretty sure it's gonna happen. Because I strongly believe that this is it for the PlayStation 4, guys. I think this year is going to be the last year for the PlayStation 4. I mean, its lifespan pretty much technically ended when the PlayStation 5 came out. But it was still really strong. During the first years of the PS5, the PS4 was still kind of strong. It still kind of is nowadays. But I think this is it. I think most companies are going to start heading into a different direction this year and say goodbye to the PlayStation 4. I think it's over. I think this is the last year of the PlayStation 4. Next year we might get a few, but 8 out of 10 games next year won't be released on the PlayStation 4. Something tells me that. This is it. And hopefully the PlayStation 5 will come down in price so more people can buy it, because $400 or $500 is still freaking ridiculous for a console. And there aren't that many reasons to buy one right now, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, say goodbye to the PS4, everybody. The end of the PlayStation 4, according to Erick, Landon RPG. What's your favorite Atlus PS2 game? You mean published by Atlus or developed by Atlus? Because developed by Atlus, there's just Shin Megami Tensei and Persona. So with that in mind, it's easy, Persona 3. That motherfucker. That's my favorite Atlus game. That's my favorite Atlus game, developed by Atlus. But there's a lot of games that were published by Atlus USA, but they weren't developed by them. They just published them. My favorite game published by Atlus, but not developed by Atlus? Oof, I think it's gonna have to be Eternal Poison. Yeah, that was a game developed by Flight Plan. They were the original developers of the Summon Night series. It's a defunct company, it no longer exists. But yeah, Eternal Poison is my favorite Atlus game, not developed by them, but developed and published by Atlus. I don't like Neptunia, but I've only played like 3 games, and I didn't like them. Three games was more than enough for me to say, no, I don't like this series. Like Etrian Odyssey, I don't like it. I'm not a fan. But yeah, Neptunia, my problem with Neptunia is that I don't think the games are legitimately good. Like Etrian Odyssey, in my opinion, is legit, right? I don't like it, but it's legit. It's like Pokemon. But Hyperdimension Neptunia is like, it leaves a lot to be desired. There's a lot of room for criticism. A lot of things are like technically wrong with it. Technically in terms of gameplay and performance, you know. The fact that I don't like the main characters being these freaking middle school lollies, you know, that's just me, right? But the games just aren't that good. No, they aren't that good, they aren't that fun. There's a crap ton of shitty dialogue in there, and if you're not into the comedy of those games, you're not gonna like it, you know. It's just the dialogue is kind of like... It's like Earthbound. Sorry for comparing Earthbound to Hyperdimension Neptunia, you know, but it's the same. The Earthbound is a game, or a series, Mother is a series with a specific type of humor, and if you can't get into it, it's not for you, right? Hyperdimension Neptunia is the same. I thought the idea was cool, like every girl represents a console, stuff like that, but when I played the games, I was like, I'm not laughing, man, I don't find it funny. And, well, the fan service is fine, but I wish you could focus instead of the girls transform into the big outfits, you know? Instead of just fighting with the little lollies, you know, I just didn't find any appeal whatsoever in that. So, not really a fan of Neptunia, but I don't think they're bad games. I just don't think a single one of them is, like, great. Like, oh my god, this is a great game. No. Reload DLC comes out in fall, right? I don't know, isn't it out yet? Do you mean The Answer, right? Isn't it out? The Answer DLC or whatever. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really care about DLCs, as you've probably noticed throughout the years. Especially if you have to pay for them. Even the ones that are free, I take forever, you know? I remember when the Diofield Chronicle got a DLC, which is really recommended, by the way, completely free, and I missed it. And months later, someone told me, people told me, oh, there's a DLC and it's free. Oh, and I downloaded the DLC and it was fucking awesome on the Diofield Chronicle, but it was free. Paid DLCs, I don't support them. But let me tell you one thing about The Answer. The Answer is a game. It's a video game. It's not just an extra episode that's gonna be like 5 hours long. No, man. The Answer is like a 30-hour long game. It's its own game. So I'm not gonna get it, but if you're planning on getting it and you want to get your money's worth, if you want to feel like you're paying for an actual game, you are. Did you finish Persona 3 Reload? Yeah, I made an entire podcast based on it. It's just most of you weren't notified because it's a podcast. There's not a lot of interest in podcasts. YouTube is not a good place for full podcast. I know that. Okay? Or if you want to support the podcast, and if you want me to make more podcast episodes like this, I'm planning on doing once a month, based on one game alone. Long podcast, 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on the game. There's a link to my Patreon in the description so you can support it and fund this podcast. This podcast needs funding, because then again, it's something I want to do, but most people don't really care about podcasts. That's okay, I understand that. And therefore, it's barely going to get any views and revenue, and every single one of them is going to be a massive failure in terms of that. So I just need a little bit of funding for these episodes. If you listen to the Persona 3 podcast that I uploaded this week, if you liked it and you want more episodes like that, just go to Patreon and fund it. Any amount of money is funding it. Any amount of it. So definitely check it out. No, it was an hour and a half long. It wasn't 2 hours long. Come on, man, don't exaggerate. It's 1 hour and 28 minutes long. It's a podcast. You can watch it. It's also made in the form of a video. If you want to watch it on your TV or your laptop or your phone, I wouldn't recommend doing it on your phone because it's a 1 hour and 28 minutes long, but it's okay. It's your eyes. On your computer, on your laptop, you can do that on your TV, you know, watch the whole video. There's gameplay footage. There's a crap ton of screenshots though. But there's a lot of gameplay footage too if you want to watch it. But it's mostly meant to be listened to, okay? And so will be up the next episodes, you know. It's first a podcast and then a video. A podcast first, a video second, okay? Keep that in mind, but it's still watchable. But yeah, it's an hour and a half. And the entire episode is dedicated to Persona 3 Reload. To this fucking beauty. That. Are you a fan of the way YouTube is now? Am I a fan of how YouTube is now? No, man, there's too much political bullshit oppressing people who... oppressing free speech, you know, and different types of opinions. This is not a place anymore where you can just freely express your opinion about whatever, you know. It's a horrible website, to be honest, but there's still good things about it. A few good things. Communities like this one, for example, it's a good thing. Videos still get appreciated. Revenue, it's still the best. It's still the best website in the world to make videos. Videos, not 1 minute long short crap like in TikTok. No, like actual videos. It's still the best platform. It still pays, you know. But yeah, it's most of the things that I have to say about modern YouTube are really negative, unfortunately. So let's not get into that, man. Into that topic. Do you think Stellar Blade will get positive reviews? Probably, although there's gonna be a lot of angry wokies trashing it, of course. Which is fucking stupid. I mean, why will they trash a game like that when almost every single Korean or Japanese RPG in existence has sexualized female characters? Why focus their attention on just that game? Wokies. Smartest people on the planet. Make a whole of fucking sense, man. As always. Xenogears versus Xenosaga versus Xenoblade? That's a topic of its own. Story, winner, Xenogears. Gameplay, unfortunately, Xenogears didn't age well, and I've been saying this for years. He needs a remaster or a remake like yesterday, man. But it's still cool. It has an amazing battle system. So in terms of gameplay, like exploration, moving around, you know, stuff like that, and the gameplay mechanics, there's a problem with Xenogears. The enemies level up with you. So I think in terms of that, Xenoblade is better because it's just easier to explore around without random encounters. Xenoblade has the better gameplay out of everything. Music, oh my god, no, don't make me choose. I think I'm gonna stick to Xenogears. I just love the Xenogears soundtrack, and Yasunori Mitsuda is one of my favorite composers ever. So definitely Xenogears wins in music. Story, same, like I mentioned. Now, in graphics, it's unfair because we're comparing old games to new games, so we shouldn't compare them in that. So in terms of, finally, in terms of battle system, I think I prefer the one in Xenosaga 3. I love the combo-based system in Xenogears, and Xenoblade is awesome. The battle system in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is, wow, a close second. But Xenosaga 3 had the best turn-based combat of the entire series, in my opinion. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a fantastic combat, man. I really fucking liked it, man. Man. Anyway, winner? Damn, I can't pick a winner. But I can pick a winner in different areas, right? Like story, Xenogears. Battle system. Well, it's like the 3 Xenosaga games versus the 4 Xenoblade games. I love Xenoblade, man, but I think I prefer my turn-based combat. So I'm sticking with Xenosaga, especially 3. Fuck. Anyway, so overall, I can't decide. I think the real competition would be between Xenogears, Xenosaga 3, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And that's a bitch to decide. I can't. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend, and take care.